Hello. Happy Friday. It is a beautiful day here in New England. If you don't know me, my name is Maureen Walbioff. I'm a nonprofit digital strategist and technology coach. And what that means is I help nonprofit organizations and teams make really smart decisions about the technology that they use to engage their supporters, raise money, communicate, run programs, things like that. And just about every Friday afternoon at 12:30 Eastern Time, I do a live stream and talk about a topic or give some advice about helping accidental techies working in nonprofit organizations a better way to manage all of the responsibilities that none of us were trained for when it comes to making good decisions about our tech. So before we get into today's topic, which is all about how to help yourself and your team get out of analysis paralysis when it comes to making what feel like really big, expensive, and risky decisions about your technology, I want to do a little promo. Next Thursday, the 10th of November at noon Eastern Time, I'm going to be doing a brand new webinar with Prosel and Every Action. And let me just pop that linky right in here. There you go. All about how to streamline your RFP process. Requests for proposals, boo, not my favorite thing. So Alfredo and I are going to be presenting a new way to think about using an RFP so it does what it's designed to do, which is help you find the right outside help. So please check that out. And if you can't make it live next Thursday, you can always register and then watch the recording, as most of us do. So let's talk about tech decisions and why they seem impossible to get everybody on the same page, to have confidence that you're making the right move, that you're recommending the right thing. When it feels overwhelming, we feel unprepared, feels like there's a lot riding on these decisions, right? So very, very common for organizations to sort of swirl, kick the decision down the road, hope somebody else makes the decision for us. Doesn't work. And, my inbox with clients, with people that I know, with comments on social media, everybody's sort of struggling right now, I think, to figure out what the right next move is for their technology. So there's some folks whose current platform is no longer a good fit. What are they going to do? There are other folks who are considering becoming a more tech-forward, tech-enabled organization. Different staffing, different tools, different expectations. We're going to use our data, no more paper. There's lots of folks dealing with that. And then there's folks who have lived with problems for too long because they have not figured out the way to have the right conversations. And I'm going to share my secret weapon with you. If you started looking around for a product or a platform or a partner, if you started with demos, stop. Like, hit pause. You are not ready to actually make a product decision. If you are trying to pick a partner, somebody who's going to help you implement Salesforce, and everybody came in at the same price and everybody seems to bring the right stuff to the table, how do you decide? I want you to hit pause. And if you are investing time in trying to use your technology that you got efficiently and effectively, trying to fix business processes, this is a manual 7-step thing, and we've got the tools that we need to make it a 1-step automated thing, and you're stuck, stop, hit pause. And what I want you to do is have a meeting. Yeah, another meeting. We all hate them, but this is a good meeting. This is the right meeting. This is the conversation structure that you and your team or your department or your board need to have in order to feel like everybody's got the same picture in their heads of where you're going and what tech and tools you need to get you there as quickly and efficiently as possible without regret, without feeling like it's a risk. And what this meeting really does is it kind of maps your strategic organizational objectives to systems and platforms and CRMs and databases and processes. Often we don't do that. When I hold these meetings with clients, nonprofit teams, it's often the very first time that the right group of people have sat down and talked strategically about the tech that you have. Usually it's handled in a silo. Marketing communication deals with the email tool. Volunteer team deals with the volunteer stuff. Fundraising, development, philanthropy teams deal with the stuff that raises money and tracks our progress towards our fiscal goals. But what we all really know, but haven't really changed how we manage these things, is that they're all connected. If I'm the fundraiser, it matters to me what email tool somebody's using because that's where those email appeals are going to come from. If I'm in marketing and communications and I want to start sending personalized conversation to different personalized content to different groups of people, I need my volunteer data so that I can send a volunteer newsletter once a quarter or something like that. It's not separate but equal anymore. It's kind of everybody into the pool, and these things all have to play nicely together. Even if they're not integrated, even if there's manual data moving around, you have to start thinking about all these things, not like individual components, but like the whole car. So I don't want to just maintain the tires and get new wipers on my car. I want to maintain and own and use the whole car. And that's what this strategic technology planning meeting does. I've been trying for 4 years to come up with a fun name for this thing. If you've got an idea, please let me know. Strategic technology planning meeting. And I will share a link in a couple of minutes to a PDF with all of this information in it, with the agenda, how to use the time, and so forth. So let's dive into it. This meeting is designed, as I said, to help the right people talk about technology decisions in a strategic way, in a holistic way, in a what do we really need over the next 3 to 5 years kind of way. So before I get into the agenda, let's talk about meeting facilitation for a second, because it is a learned skill. Most of us are not natural meeting facilitators, but somebody gets to facilitate this meeting. It could be you. Doesn't matter what your role and your responsibility is. It could be somebody who's just a good meeting facilitator that you give this agenda to, and they walk everybody through it. But you need somebody who's going to keep things on task, keep the conversation on point, keep the time that you're dedicating to this meeting used in the way that you expect. So facilitation is important. Usually there's at least 5 people, sometimes as many as 20 people in these meetings. I hold them all remotely over Zoom these days. So everybody's got to show up with their camera on. Everybody's got to be looking at each other. It's not cool to have one person off camera and everybody else is on camera. You need to level the playing field a little bit. Go around the room. What I do is I write down all the attendees on my agenda and I check people off. Yep, I've asked Beth. Yep, I've asked Bob. Yep, I've asked Jesse these particular questions, and it lets me make sure that everybody has a chance to contribute and answer questions instead of having just the leadership talk or just the person who is the fundraiser speak. Lets everybody sort of participate equally. Avoid going down rabbit holes. Somebody's going to want to be a problem solver. When an issue or an opportunity is raised in this meeting, there's always somebody who has either a lot of opinions or thought or advice to share about that thing. Can make the meeting go off track, the facilitator's got to push it back on track. It's also very tempting because you're talking about things that aren't working, aspirations that you've got, improvements that you want to make, opportunities you want to take advantage of around your technology. And problem solving is what we do naturally as humans. We're kind of hardwired to quickly solve a problem. And people are going to want to jump into problem solving mode, not at this meeting. Parking lot it, and politely, if you've got somebody who's long-winded, let's say, wait for them to take a breath, wait for them to hit the end of a sentence and say, I got it. I got that, Bob. Clearly, you've got a lot of other ideas. Let's table further discussion about this in a polite yet business-like way. You're not hijacking my agenda, and we're not here just to listen to your thoughts. Everybody's got a seat at the table to contribute. Leaders speak last. Unless the leader in your pod or your org, whoever's in this meeting, is facilitating the meeting, and maybe even then, they should speak last. Even if your leader feels like they are collaborative and their words don't have more weight than other people in the room, not usually the case. People sort of wait and let the leader speak first very frequently, and then they either chime in to support what that leader is saying, or they could go off in an oppositional way. But if the leader speaks first and answers any of these agenda questions first, it colors and can influence what other people say. So leaders go last. Good leaders want to go last. And I want you to take notes. Record this meeting if you're using Zoom or Teams or something like that. Take notes because you're going to need to do things with the things that people say. So that's sort of the facilitation for this meeting. You want your group of attendees to be representative of different business units, different teams, different work groups, and different levels at the organization. Now, sometimes I hold these meetings and it's truly like the VPs, the C-level people. It's the upper level of leadership in an organization. That's not my pref. I really like to have people who represent different technology user experiences, people who need technology to do different things, who are contributing to this so that you're getting a really holistic conversation that represents lots of different areas inside your organization. Try not to have more than 12 people in this meeting. If you've got a big organization, lots of teams, and you're sort of figuring like, how do I get 27 people on a Zoom and use 2 hours to get through the agenda that I'm going to share with you in a minute? Maybe break it down into work groups. Like the fundraising team has their meeting, and the operations team has their meeting, and the Marcom team has their strategic technology planning meeting. That's another way to do it, where everybody's kind of working towards their vision for the next 3 to 5 years and how tech is going to help them reach those goals and objectives. You might be too big for a shared meeting with the right people in it. So you can sort of divide and conquer and hold multiple rounds of these meetings. That can also be helpful. So here's the agenda. 6 things in the agenda. And let me just pop that link in right here for you so that you can grab it. It's in my website, free download. Don't need your email address. Don't need to register or anything like that. So it's a quick PDF that I whipped together for you this morning. So the agenda starts with a check-in because I'm like a facilitation nerd and I like to start the meeting with a check-in and end the meeting with a check-out. It just helps orient us to the work at hand, the discussions that we have to have. So check-in, I always ask everybody, what's one thing we have to talk about today for this meeting to be useful to you? Sometimes people say things like, well, I want us to decide which email marketing tool we're going to use. We have 3. That's not the meeting for this. We have to have this meeting first, and then we can have the meeting to make those decisions. So it's a good opportunity not only to say, yep, we're going to talk about that, but also kind of course correct. If someone comes in expecting a different kind of meeting, different conversations, you can level set that so that they're calibrated for the conversation that you need them to have. So check in. Second thing is I ask everybody to just take a minute. Some people close their eyes. Take a minute, and I want you to think about what this organization is going to be like in 5 years. In 2027, if you can believe that, 5 years from now. What's happening at Organization X? What work are we doing? Is our mission the same? Do we all work in the same place? Is the staffing model the same? What are we doing more of? What are we doing less of? What's easier to do? How do we meet our mission in the world? And I give everybody a minute to think about what they think the organization is going to be like in the next 3 to 5 years. And the reason I use 3 to 5 years is because you want to pick technology that is going to be in it for the long haul, which in technology years is 3 to 5 years. Stuff changes, our needs change, what products can and can't do change rapidly in nonprofit tech land. So 3 to 5 years is a very good time frame for you to look out and then figure out what you're going to need to get you there, which is the goal of this meeting. So what's happening inside our organization in 5 years or over the next 3 to 5 years? And I call on everybody and they all share it, all share their vision. So everybody can kind of hear this is where we're going. It's not a board approved strategy. It's not your 5-year strategic plan. It's more about operationally and from supporter engagement perspectives, what are we spending time on? And how are we going to measure our success? Maybe we want our monthly supporter pool to grow by 100% over the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe we want more grants funding our work over the next 3 to 5 years. These are the kinds of things that which tech you pick influences greatly how easy or hard it is for you to actually attain that vision efficiently without tears. So once we've sort of unpacked what everybody thinks is going to be happening over the next 3 to 5 years in your org, in your team, next question to ask everybody is, how will your technology, existing or new, help you do those things? If you want to grow your sustainer program, what does your tech need to be doing to make it fast and easy for you to grow your monthly giving program? It has to be powering the right things. Can't be a neutral force, can't be a resisting force. It's gotta help you get there. That's the point of having all of this stuff. Yeah, we need an email tool, but how you gonna use that email tool to help you hit your organizational goals and reach that vision? Be real specific. So I go around the room and I ask everybody to answer that question. Then we get a little more into the weeds and I ask the attendees to share, each of them, top 4 audiences, constituency groups, segments, whatever you want to call it, audiences. Who are your priority people? Major donors, lapsed donors, email subscribers, program participants, funders. Who are these audiences? And everybody goes around the room and shares their thoughts about the top 4. And everybody will have a different list. So get ready for that. Document that stuff. And then based on like critical mass, the numbers of like mentions or votes these audiences get, it's usually pretty easy for me in the meeting to say, okay, sounds like your top 4 audiences are current and prospective donors, members, volunteers, and collaborative partners. Could be advocates, could be your list is going to look a little different than everybody else's. So once I know sort of everybody agrees that these 4 are in the top 4, we then say, what data do you need to collect for each of these groups? And how are you going to use that data? Donors, current and prospective. What data do you need to capture about donors, current and prospective donors? Well, we need contact information, demographic information, giving history, maybe spousal records or partnership records. We want to know what emails they've subscribed to. We want to know what events they've attended. We want to know where they've made donations. Pretty straightforward. Okay, how are you going to use all that data once you collect it? Because as an industry, we collect a lot of data. We use about that much of it. So you might want somebody's favorite color or date of birth in this brainstorm, but unless it's going to help you hit your goals, why bother capturing it? Right? So be real clear, each of those 4 important audiences, what data do you need to collect about these people and what are you gonna do with it? And you're gonna take about a half an hour, 35 minutes to go through this exercise. I hope as I'm talking through this meeting, you can see how these are things you don't talk about now. And they are unspoken questions that make it hard to make decisions about your technology. I really don't know who we want more of inside our new database or CRM. I don't really know if we want to grow our membership, monthly members or gift memberships or family memberships or whatever your growth goal happens to be. So under the guise of making a technology decision, you're starting to make agreements about your technology priorities. People, external, what are you going to do with them? How are you going to use data to give them a better experience? How are you going to use data to make decisions about programs and opportunities and offers that you might put in front of these current and prospective donors? So you're going to go through all 4 of those top audiences and literally drill down. I want to track, I want this information, and this is how we're going to use it. Very helpful in technical decision making down the road, or if you've got to make a decision by the end of the week. Then you're going to focus internally for the next question. How will our technology help us work more efficiently and effectively? What does this stuff have to manage that's manual right now, or a pain in the neck to do right now, or we've never been able to do? And we must in order to reach that vision that we've sketched out a couple of minutes ago. So think about business processes. Does it take your team running 7 reports to fulfill an e-commerce order? Somebody buys something in your online store. It costs you 70 times as much in staff time as that sale actually brought in. So everybody's going to have thoughts about this. This is a really fun part of the meeting because your technology needs to do both. It needs to actually do 3 things. It needs to get you to the strategic goals that you just agreed on. It needs to provide data and structure and tools for your supporters for easy, frictionless engagement in the things that you want them to do. And it also has to make your team want to come to work every day. You know, if people are struggling with janky tools or systems that have been broken for a really long time, you have a lot of inefficiencies inside your organization. Most of us do. So take this opportunity to think about, what does this stuff have to do for us to manage our work? If you're processing monthly membership fees by hand manually, a couple days a month, then what aren't you doing that might be more important in terms of kind of engaging your supporters, higher level work, more stewardship, more data analysis, stuff like that. So find places where your team will experience benefits as well. And pro tip, this helps user adoption. If people have said, listen, I got 99 problems with our current technology, knowing where we're going and what's important to us and what we want to use our technology to help us do, we got to fix these first two things. And when you make a decision that is strategic about your technology and solves practical end user problems and gives your supporters a smooth, secure, happy experience, you win. You hit those goals much faster. It's much easier to know that you've got a return on your investment for technology, and your staff sticks around because they're not using broken stuff to try to do their jobs. See how this all comes together and how helpful it can be if your team is super in the weeds and swirly and stuck. This meeting is magical. The last thing you do is a checkout, as I said, meeting facilitation nerd. And I like to ask people to share one thing they heard in today's meeting that has stuck in their head, that was an aha, that they thought was really smart, that they agree with, that was helpful. And I don't want them to talk about what I said as the facilitator. I want them to say, hey, Bob, when you talked about the fact that it's costing us $50 to send out something out of our store in staff time, that we really have to fix that because I thought we made a lot of money with our merch sales. And we don't because we're not counting staff time in our profit and loss statement around our hard goods or virtual things that we're selling. So checkout is one thing that you heard one person in the meeting say that impressed you, that blew your mind, that has resonated with you, that you agree with or think is important. And everybody leaves the meeting feeling like they talked about the right stuff. They heard what other people are thinking. They shared what they're thinking. And they feel much more compelled to work together to make the right technology choices. Do we love what we have and throw some money at it? Do we list it and find something else? Man, now that I know our priorities for technology and data and where we're going over the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be easier for me to pick a Salesforce implementation partner. If they're really good at some of these things, if they have spoken to some of the things that we need our systems to do, you're not showing up as an empty vessel. You tell me how we should set this stuff up. You need a vision, and this strategic technology meeting will help you get there. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn and my YouTube channel and my Facebook page where this is streaming today and in the recorded future forever, because none of these channels get shut down. Just ask a question. I'd be happy to weigh in if you've got concerns about who to invite to a meeting like this. This is 2 hours. Smaller teams, if I've got 5 people or less, 90 minutes. I promise you can get through all this stuff. You got to keep your eye on the clock. You got to keep people moving along. You got to know when people have to stick a fork in it and move on to the next topic. But hopefully the agenda document that I shared will give you sort of a structure to start having these conversations and start moving instead of sitting and swirling, feeling like it's too risky to make a decision, or doing this, which is what a lot of us tend to do. As we wrap up today, I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday. Get out a little early if you can. Have a wonderful weekend. Next Tuesday is election day. I'm going to go do a little early voting later this afternoon so I can check that off my list. Please remember the RFP webinar that I'm doing with Bonterra, Every Action, and Prosel next Thursday. Registration link is in the comments. And I am not going to be doing a live stream next Friday because it is my birthday. 1111, magical number. I'm having a big birthday. I'm not going to tell you how big because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it myself, but I am taking the day off. So I will see you the following Friday. I think that's the 18th, with another topic that accidental techies hopefully can use. Renelle just chatted in a question. Renelle, good to see you here. I hope all is well in your world. Do you give attendees these questions before the meeting? Yes, I send the agenda out, and I give people like a little email that says, here's what we're going to talk about. I want you to come in thinking about your answers to these questions. People don't need to write anything down, but absolutely, Renelle, I think letting people know what the conversation is going to consist of so they can get their thoughts in order is always the way to go. And I give people the agenda about a week ahead of time. And they can come to me with questions if they've got them. But these are awesome meetings and people leave feeling pumped and ready to go. So hopefully, Renelle, if you use this at your org, you'll find the same experience that I do when I run these meetings. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Talk to you then. Bye.